Hello and welcome to the Chris McCowan Show. I'm Chris McCowan. Today is July 6, 2011. The last couple of weeks I've talked about statements that Michelle Bachmann has made, and I've done some research and I found 7 that are completely false. The first one that I'm going to go over with you is a statement that she made. 1, that's the number of new drilling permits under the Obama administration since they came into office. By most accounts, Rep. Michelle Bachmann's slideshow of numbers critical of the Obama administration got the most audience feedback among potential 2012 GOP presidential candidates addressing the Conservative Principles PAC conference in Iowa on March 26, 2011. Bachmann was particularly crucial of Obama's energy policy, including his decision to put a temporary moratorium on new drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, following the Deepwater Horizon explosion and subsequent oil spill. During the moratorium, the administration enacted new safety and environmental requirements, including regulations for spill response and contained compatibility. Please excuse the noise because I am doing the show outside yet again. I cannot do it inside. Bachmann, okay, I already said that. Let's look at the number 1. This is a quote. Let's look at the number one, Bachmann said. That's the number of new drilling permits under the Obama administration since they came into office. Quote, gee, maybe that has something to do with this next figure. Let's take a look. $1.83. That is the price that gasoline was the day before Barack Obama took office as President of the United States. Quote, this is time for a change. Audience, yes. Quote, is it time for a change? Bachmann said, absolutely. It's time for a change. Unquote. Quote, you cannot create jobs when you have a president that is unwilling to use American energy resources to solve our problems here in the United States, she said moments later. Just 1 drilling permit approved during the entire Obama presidency. We recalled that in March 11, 2011 press conference, Obama said, quote, we've approved more than 35 new offshore drilling permits that meet these new safety and environmental standards, and he was talking only about permits issued after the Gulf of Mexico moratorium. So somebody's got to be wrong. I went first to the Department of Interior press office, which sent us a link to the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management Regulation and Enforcement report on the statement of well permits and plans subject to enhanced safety and environmental requirements. According to the report, 39 shallow water permits for new wells have been issued since June 8, 2010, when new rules and information requirements were put into effect. Shallow water drilling operations were not affected by the Deepwater drilling moratorium following the Gulf oil spill, and there were lots more shallow water well permits issued by the Obama administration prior to June 8, 2010. Remember, Bachmann's statement referred to permits issued under the Obama administration since they came into office. In addition, there have been 6 deepwater well permits issued since October 12, 2010, when the Gulf moratorium was lifted. 5 of those were for projects that were underway prior to the moratorium. The operators were required to come back and meet the new modified standards. And last week, well, this was a while ago, this was Saturday, March 26th, so back in March, BOEMRE approved an exploration plan submitted by Shell Offshore Inc. for deepwater oil and gas exploration. It was the first new deepwater exploration plan approved since the Gulf oil spill, according to a BOEMER press release. Quote, an exploration plan describes all exploration activities planned by the operator for a specific lease or leases, including the timing of the activities, information concerning drilling vessels, the location of each planned well, and other relevant information that needs to meet important safety standards. Once a plan is approved, additional new applications for permits to drill can be issued. In other words, it's not a permit, permits come down the road. In all, BOEMRE has received 45 deepwater drilling permit applications that are subject to the new regulation. These include applications to drill new wells, bypasses, and sidetracks. 24 of these permits have been returned to the operator with requests for additional information, most regarding subsea containment. BOEMRE has approved 7 of these permits for 6 unique wells, with 12 applications pending. Again, these are deep water permits issued after the moratorium. The Obama administration issued lots of deep water permits prior to that. Bachmann's press office would not return PolitiFact.com's calls, so they were regulated to playing the perhaps she meant game to test whether there is a sense in which she might be accurate. Their perhaps she meant are, perhaps she meant permits since the moratorium, not since Obama administration came into office, as she said. There were hundreds issued pre-Gulf oil spill. Perhaps she meant just deep water drilling, not shallow water drilling. There have been 39 shallow water permits for new wells since June 2010, and many more before that. Perhaps she meant to exclude permits issued for projects that were underway prior to the oil spill, and which had to come back to meet the new modified standards. 5 of the 6 new well permits were underway prior to the moratorium. Perhaps she meant not permits, but exploration plans. The first exploration plan since the oil spill was approved in March of 2011. Perhaps, but that's not what she said. She said 1. That's the number of new drilling permits under the Obama administration since they came into office. It's not even close, and the claim is ridiculously false, pants on fire. I done my research on PolitiFact.com, which they go and do all of their hard research. So yes, I use PolitiFact.com because they do a lot of research, and they won a Pulitzer Prize in 2009. I guess that means something. Another one that she has said is small businesses that have $250,000 in gross sales for the business, they're the ones that are looking at massive tax increases. Tax rates will go up in 2011 unless Congress acts to extend the current rates. Members are talking about voting on the matter before the end of the year. The sticking point is exactly what a final tax package will look like. President Obama campaigned on making permanent the current rates for the middle class, but raising rates for couples who make more than $250,000 and individuals who make more than $200,000. Most Republicans and some Democrats would like to see all the current rates made permanent. This was from last year. last November. Now, various compromise ideas are being floated, with ideas for extending some rates temporarily or attempting reforms of the tax code. Tea Party favorite Representative Michelle Bachmann told George Stephanopoulos on Good Morning America that she was willing to accept a compromise as long as the current tax rate stayed at the same for taxpayers of all incomes. But she said she opposed a compromise that would be attached to extending unemployment benefits. And I'm sorry, I have to go back to that. She was willing to accept a compromise as long as all the current tax rates stayed the same for taxpayers of all incomes. That doesn't sound like a compromise to me. I'm sorry. Stephanopoulos then asked why it was okay for the wealthy to get their tax cuts extended, but not okay to extend unemployment benefits for the jobless. Well, quote, well, remember again what this is. It's a massive tax increase, and it's on the people who are the job creators, Bachmann said. And people want to think that these are millionaires sitting in leather chairs, lighting their cigars with $100 bills. That's not what we're talking about. These are people who are carpet layers who may employ 2 or 3 other guys, or a plumber, maybe himself or his brother, and it's $250,000 in gross sales for their business. They're the ones that are looking at massive tax increases. That's probably a compelling narrative for Bachmann. Big government taxes the little guys. We first fact-checked, PolitiFact.com first fact-checked similar claims during the 2008 election when Samuel Joseph Wurzelbacher, aka Joe the Plumber, worried he'd get a tax increase under Obama's plan if he bought a company that took in around $250,000 a year. It wasn't true then, and it isn't true now. Here's why. Plumbers or any other small business owners get to deduct their business expenses, so they'd have to bring in more than $250,000 in gross sales. The tax laws allow small business owners to deduct all kinds of business expenses: employees' pay, supplies, a car or truck, fuel costs, advertising, association dues, utilities, shop repairs, and the list goes on. For more details, you can read Chapter 8 of the Tax Guide for Small Business, published by the IRS. Bachmann said that the tax increases kick in at $250,000 in gross sales, which traditionally means total sales at invoice values are everything the plumbers build. And she said the plumbers would be looking at massive tax increases, when actually the top 2 rates would be increasing from 33% to 36% and from 35% to 39.6%. Finally, of all taxpayers who declare business income, about 2% declare enough income to see tax increases if the rates on the top brackets expire. Most small business owners would not see a tax increase, though the most profitable small businesses would. We're not sure why Bachmann distorted the point about gross sales. As we said, it's something that's been explained several times. This is PolitiFact.com. Good Morning America posted a note on its website after Bachmann's appearance, noting that her statement was wrong. PolitiFact.com asked her spokesperson for a comment, but of course they did not hear back. Oh my goodness, there's ants out here. The proposed increases have been discussed many times, and for several years, her misstatement of the facts on Good Morning America seems designed to scare small business owners into thinking they're in line for a tax increase, even if their tax income is modest, for distorting the tax proposals to a ridiculous extent. Re-rate her statement, hats on fire.